Hello. It takes a minute to get everything set up at first. This is part 2 of the lecture for chapter 2. And the topic or subject matter covered in chapter 2 is really important material, and that's why I feel like, I want to spend plenty of time going over it. The topic, of course, is managing your time, energy, and money. And for the most part, based on our competencies, the course competencies that we have for this course, we're focusing more on the time and money for Chapter 2. Later on, I think it's Chapter 11, we will talk more about how to effectively manage your energy level as well. I will speak some of energy, but with this part of the lecture, but for the most part I'm going to be talking about time management and money. So far we have talked about the essential question is, can you identify effective time management strategies, and then are you able to utilize specific time management strategies? And I was going through some examples, and one of them was self-evaluation or reflection, as far as, how are you doing with managing your time. Thinking of an action plan, which an action plan is setting goals, for example. That's something that can be written down, or it can just be something that you just reflect on. The next part I talked about and ended with was color coding. And color coding is something successful people use when they create calendars to keep track of important events. And I've already mentioned that, so I'm not going to go into that more. We will do an activity together, hopefully, where we create a calendar, and I'm going to have you work in groups of 2, and your calendar can be, we can come up with some events that need to go on the calendar that are not not anybody's real life events, but we can make up events and create a calendar. Basically what I'm wanting you all to practice doing is using a color coding system, some way of determining, maybe a key for your calendar, that all the events written in orange are doctor's appointments, all the events written in purple or times that I'm going to go, my kids are going to go play ball, whatever. There is another thing that people use, and I have used it more when I was teaching full-time in the early childhood classroom, and it's a planner, and this is actually one that I used. It is simply a calendar itself. Let's see if you can see it. And it gives, I like this one in particular. We always got this for free every year, so I really like that part. But it gives you plenty of room, plenty of space to write down what you have to do. And I typically do all of my events in one book, instead of having one for work and one for home, and it gets too confusing. I just try to keep it all together, and that's just my personal way of managing time. And I do, being the mama, I am the time manager or the planner for the calendar, and I just usually just write mine out, and I use different colors of ink, and post that on a bulletin board or on our refrigerator door. But a planner is one thing you can use. If you're going into a field like I did, you will probably use a planner a good bit, but it just depends on your field. We also have, there are home organizers. There are people who actually do that for their job. They will come in, and I haven't had anybody do this for me because it's not something I can afford, but they can come in and actually organize your home for you. And which would be awesome. There's people that have websites that they've created, and the entire website is about organizing your home. Or it might have a section about, your finances, or organizing your kitchen or your closet. You see a lot of things like that on websites like Pinterest. You can just type in the word organization or time management in Pinterest, and tons of stuff comes up to see. So there's plenty of places on the internet to get information about managing your time and getting organized with scheduling and that kind of thing. Our last essential question is, do you understand the importance or ramifications of a budget? Are you able to prepare a personal budget? And I'm going to define some of these words just because I just break it down in each word at a time. Of course, a budget is a spending plan that tracks the sources of income, which for college students you would have financial aid, wages from a job. If you're a traditional student, you probably have money that you get from your parents, and expenses. Well, your expenses would be rent, tuition, books, and so forth. During a set period of time, like you can organize your budget for a week or a month. We typically do ours by the month because my husband, in my previous job, and my husband also works for the school system, we got paid once a month. So that's typically the way we organize our budget. I have to admit, this is an area that I struggle with and still have a lot to learn about budgeting money. And anyway, a budget is an important thing to do in order to help you manage your income. And the word ramifications, I had to look that one up. I kind of had an idea what it meant, but I didn't know how to explain it. It simply means the result of an action or decision. Unfortunately, I have made some decisions about money that were not good, especially when it comes to credit cards. What are the ramifications of creating a budget? How does one benefit from making the decision to create a budget? So, by creating a budget and following a budget, it will allow you to pay your bills on time. It can cut costs, put away money for emergencies, and finish college with as little debt as possible. And that is awesome if you can do that. I was able to do that up until a certain point, and my last part of my graduate work, I did have to borrow some money. So, but it is ideal to finish college with as little debt as possible, because you certainly don't want to go into, in my case, I was already married when I did graduate work, but, by the time I finished my graduate work, my older two children were getting ready to go to college. So, now we have that expense. So, anyway, are you able to prepare a personal budget? In Chapter 2, in Angel, under the Lessons tab, you will find a copy of a monthly budget for college students worksheet. It's a part of something that we'll do during this class. I mentioned it now since this particular chapter talks about budgets. The actual activity is a part of your portfolio that you will do for this class as well. And the portfolio is not actually due until later on in July. I wanted to go ahead and give you the option of working on the budget sheet for either June or July. Since that's the only 2 months we're going to be in school during this semester. If you choose to do June, then, go ahead and work on your June budget, and you can go ahead and submit it. And I will I will tell you specifically where it can be submitted. There is a Dropbox, and it's at the end of, which I don't have that Dropbox open right now, but it's in the portfolio section. But I can create a place for you to place that sheet. But right now it is there, the monthly budget worksheet for college students. in Chapter 2, under the Lessons tab in Angel, you can open up that sheet. It's in an Excel, Microsoft Excel format. You can actually type your information directly into that sheet if your computer has Excel. If you do not have Excel at home, you can use the computers at school because they all have that program. Also, I've mentioned to you a way that you can get some of the Microsoft materials for free. Be sure and ask me about that because Excel would be a part of that. That's all for now. Like I said, energy will be discussed in more detail in a future chapter. Enjoy your weekend.